All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about a huge shift in leadership today. It's about moving from being the person who does everything, the hero who has to sign off on every little detail, to becoming the architect of a platform that pretty much manages itself. We're talking about building what we call an automated supervisor.
So let me start with a really direct question, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Is your team's progress completely dependent on you? I mean, if every single decision, every document has to cross your desk before it goes out the door, then you've probably become the bottleneck. And look, this isn't a knock on your talent or your work ethic. It's an issue with the structure of your system.
This kind of structural failure has a very, very real cost. When standards are fuzzy, when good work is just a feeling you have, your team is basically stuck. They're forced to guess what you want, which means you have to constantly jump in and fix things. That ambiguity, it is costing your entire operation more than you can imagine.
And this is exactly what we mean by a single point of failure. It's when you've probably accidentally designed a system where you are the chief quality officer for everything. I know it feels like leadership, but in reality, it's just high-wage manual labor, and it is the single biggest thing preventing your platform from scaling.
This problem even has a name. We call it the fragility tax. Think about it. It's all the potential revenue, all that gross commission income, or GCI, that you're leaving on the table simply because your entire operation can only move as fast as you personally can. It is literally a tax on your growth paid for by your own limited time and energy.
So what's the solution here? Well, we have to move from leading by vibe and subjectivity to leading by a clear, objective system. This means we've got to replace that frustrating, vague feedback with standards that are clear, binary, and totally non-negotiable. It's a complete mindset shift from being a manager to being an architect.
Just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got leadership as manual labor. You're saying things like, be more professional. What does that even mean? But on the right, you have a system. Be more professional turns into a hard, measurable rule. All inbound leads must be called within 15 minutes. Suddenly, the system is enforcing the standard, not you.
And this right here is the core concept we're talking about, the automated supervisor. Now, it's not a person and it's not some fancy piece of software. It's simply a written, binary standard. It's a rule that is so clear, so black and white, that your team can use it to grade their own work and even each other's work without you ever needing to be in the room.
This quote really says it all, doesn't it? The whole goal is to make the standard so crystal clear, so obvious, that it just eliminates the need for you to constantly be correcting people. The system does all the heavy lifting, and that frees you up to focus on strategy, not on fixing typos. Okay, so that's the what. That's the big idea. But now, let's get into the how. How do you actually build these automated supervisors? Well, it all starts with a simple audit of your own frustrations. It's really just a three-step process. First, you identify the friction. What are the top 2 or 3 things you are constantly repeating yourself on? Second, you apply the binary test. Can you turn that complaint into a simple yes or no question? And third, you define the red flag. What is the specific event that tells you the system has failed?
This chart lays it out perfectly. Call them back ASAP becomes a non-negotiable service level agreement, and SLA, less than 15 minutes. Done. Update the CRM becomes notes are logged in the CRM after every single call. No exceptions. And a typo in our proposal? That isn't just a mistake anymore. It's a red flag. It's a system failure that automatically triggers a process review.
Okay, you've built the standards. You've written them down. But how do you know if they're actually working? This brings us to a really critical step, the performance gate. See, it's not about what's written in a manual. It's about what you can physically see your team doing differently.
This is the one question that lies at the heart of the performance gate. What is the observable, tangible, physical evidence that your team has truly mastered this new standard? What behaviors would prove to you that you've successfully installed this automated supervisor and are getting a real ROI on your talent?
Here's your checklist. This is what you're looking for. You'll actually see team members checking their own work against the written standard. You'll overhear peers holding each other accountable to that standard. When a red flag event happens, the team themselves initiates a review of the process. They don't come running to you. And of course, the ultimate proof, your direct quality control just isn't necessary anymore.
So how does this all come together? Really, it's about adopting a new identity. This isn't about just being a better manager. It's about fundamentally changing your entire role. You are no longer a supervisor. You are the architect of a high-performance platform. Let's run a quick diagnostic right now. First up is the autonomy check. If you disappeared for a week, no phone, no email, and a huge new opportunity landed, would your team know exactly what to do?
Or would it be chaos? The answer tells you if you've built a real platform or if you just have a group of very talented assistants.
Second, the friction test. Think about it. Are you correcting the same types of mistakes today that you were correcting last month? Because if the answer is yes, you haven't actually built a standard. You've just offered an opinion that your team can, and apparently does, choose to ignore.
And finally, the asset validation. This is the ultimate test. Are your standards so clear and so ingrained in the culture that one team member can correct another? And it's seen not as a personal attack, but as a defense of the platform's integrity. When that starts happening, you know you've built a true asset.
So, the key takeaway from all of this is simple, right? Define your standards with absolute, ruthless clarity. Automate the supervision by making those standards written and public. And finally, exit the loop. Get out of the business of repetitive correction. That is how you build a platform that truly scales beyond you.